Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, a lot of little repots from the fish tank forest. Before I dig in today, I have to go downstairs to the plant room and take what's the last of the plants down there, and it's the fish tank forest. So let's go down and grab that so we can get to work out here on this beautiful day. Fish tank forest. And to get started today, I gotta get this outside to the work area. Here we have the forest from down in the plant room up on top of the fish tank. Before we get started today though, let's go ahead and turn off the fish pond, because I have had a couple people comment, and then I realized this after I watched the last one, that even though the babbling brook is lovely for me to work on my trees during the video, and the microphone picks up too much on the babbling brook. So let's go turn that off real quick and then we'll work on this guy. So every time I make cuttings from my ficus trees, or trees that I thought were ficuses, I go ahead and put them into some pots down in my plant room. Sometimes I do this in the winter months after they've rested a little bit, after bringing them inside. But when I do my summer transplants, I also keep some cuttings and I'll start the process all over again. So this is the wood pot, this square pot that I put on top of the fish tank. I made the fish tank cabinetry and put the fish tank in there, and have had various fish in there, including the koi that are in the pond out here. And then I let all these trees grow throughout the winter until I can get them outside. And if they're big enough, I'll put them into some individual pots. So let me get you an aerial view of the forest. You've seen it from the front now and from the sides. Let's take a peek from the bird's eye view. So here we have the forest. We'll give it a spin from the top. Looks pretty thick in there. Got some rocks still in there. When I spray this in the wintertime, rocks hold some of that moisture for a little while. Keeps it humid and we get our growth. So there's the top of our forest. We got our variegated benjamina, and we got some melon seed in here. Melon seed. And then what we thought was ficus, let's come down here now, are these guys. I've been calling them for a couple of years the brush cherry ficus. And the brush cherry is not a ficus. It's just an evergreen shrub. And so I've been able to get some growth inside. I've taken them inside to my plant room every year. But I have to do a little more research to see if I should let these guys go a little more dormant. I might now try to keep a couple of them in a cold frame and see how they do. And this might be a microcarpa ficus. One I worked on recently, it's a cutting from that. Super long, look at this growth. So from here, it goes way up here, and it was really reaching up to the light. Pretty awesome. Pretty fun to see the growth. Everything went towards the center, up towards the light that was hanging up over here. If you want to see a little bit more about the fish tank forest that I have in front of me, make sure you go ahead and check the playlist for the fish tank ficus forest. And again, most of the time there's ficus in here, except for these brush cherries that have just taken off like crazy. So we're going to go ahead and take all these individual pots. So what I did is I used to have all these trees just in this big pot, and roots would go round and round and round and long and leggy. And so my last experiment, this past repot, or my cuttings, went from in here into individual pots. So that'll make the repotting pretty easy. We've got all these little pots within the soil. I'm first going to remove all my rocks. This is just for decoration. And again, I think it holds on to the moisture a little bit when I do mist these a couple times a day during the winter time. And just fun to have some rock landscape. So here's the forest again. And what I'll be able to do is literally pick up each one of these trees and lift it right out by its pot. Unless the roots have grown through so much that they're stuck to the bottom, which look at that. Oh my word. So here I was trying to avoid the long, leggy growth of roots. And look at this root right here. You probably cannot see as clearly. 2 feet. Big thick one down here. Super thick. So I think I have some root growth in there. So we have to take all of these pots out and then we'll deconstruct them. Before I take them out of these pots, let's go get some new pots. I washed out a bunch of my smaller pots here on the lawn, get them ready for some repotting. Maybe get a little mini forest in the big white low one. I got a smaller light white low pot, and a couple of bitty ones. Some fun pots. We'll see what we can fit where as we deconstruct the fish tank forest. Nice little washing out on the grass. Gives me a much better look at the pots. We have the two white, really super shallow ones. That'll be kind of fun. Maybe some more forest action. Got this new kind of a teal pot that I recently acquired. Another low one. Super cool oval shape. I love this one. We'll see what can fit in there. This is one of my first Sarah Rayner pots. Got this at one of the Minnesota Bonsai Society general meeting raffles. So I put a couple bucks in and I got a Sarah Rayner pot. Gonna be nice to see what fits in that one. A little more cascade-like for this kind of pot, but we'll see if we have something that fits in there. Just an oval, or excuse me, a rectangle, basic rectangle, nothing fancy. With those other flat ones, I might not use that rectangle. And I've got this super cute little odd shaped, you know, we got this triangle, rounded triangle shape. Very unique bonsai pot with some really neat little legs with some character in them. So we'll go ahead and see if we can get one of these trees into this guy. I think that's gonna be super cool. I've got this long, unique oval pot, which means it's gonna be either a couple of trees, 2, 3 trees, 3 probably, or one tree with maybe some kind of decor here, a little figurine or something I have, or a big rock or something. That will be kind of cool for that one. And I got this super neat little one, and this one has some Japanese writing in the back. Really nice detail with the bottom here. Some very intricate leg work, and so super cute little pot. And then my gray one, which also is a Japanese pot. And we'll see what goes in here. So a light gray. I don't have anything light gray at all in my collection, so that's why I pulled this one aside. Nice little pot with good. It just looks really nice. It's got some texture in it, with a little indent in here, with the rim around the outside bottom section. Nice bold legs for a small pot. So we've got some pots. So they're all around me. Now what are we going to do with what? Melon seed ficus. And the variegated ficus, which is, I believe, a Benjamina, a version of a Benjamina. And then the two that are kind of like microcarpa-ish. And then I do have a whole bunch of these brush cherries. I got 3 or 4 of those that really thickened up. And obviously got some good roots in there. The interesting thing about the brush cherry that I've discovered is the leaves grow really flat. So the leaves on the main stem grow really out. So you go out here, and so they're really flat. So it can be a very flat looking tree. This one's actually one of the bushiest ones I think I have. Like here's an example of a young one here, but see how it's kind of flat from here and down to here. It's like someone cut all the top branches and bottom branches off for me. So that's kind of nice, but it doesn't push out a lot of growth, you know, going this way then and that way, and so you don't get this, you know, nice canopy per se. It ends up being pretty flat. But I see there's a new growth right here trying to grow between 2 branches, so this would start giving it some depth, so very nice. The brush cherry also very difficult to wire. You can scar the brush cherry super easy if you don't watch the growth. What I loved about this one is the super curly stem here. I cut a branch here, I believe, and it kind of curved that way. Now it's curving back this way. This one has some fun movement. It's really super thick. So these, I think, are the first three I'm going to go ahead and do. And then I have this one is my thickest microcarpa, or it could even be a tiger bark ficus. I just don't remember which one this one is. And we got a couple of those. This real tall one. Whoops. All these are also top heavy. This one had some massive growth over to this side. This almost could be turned into a cascade if I could bring this branch down here. But not a lot of cascades in the tropical world that I've seen, but I'm sure it can be happening. I'm sure it's done all the time. So these are, I think, the 4 ones I'm going to pot first. I think these are good, strong, independent trees of one another. And maybe this one too, because of the really nice curve to that trunk. And then the other, maybe the brush cherries then will become a forest. We'll see. All right, what to do? Well, let's do the melon seed ficus first. I am still enamored at all the growth. Blows me away. So taking them out, it's not too difficult. They weren't tied down. And what I was trying to get away from in those little pots was long leggy growth, and here I got some long leggy growth in the pot because some of it just scooted on out anyway. But we have a nice little structure of roots down here with one big high one up here. And I'm not really going to trim too much of these. We'll get a little bit shorter. Cut that thicker one off just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we have the melon seed ficus. Kind of looks like that one should go in here. I don't know. Maybe it's not big enough. Maybe this big, strong, curvy one needs to be in a big pot like that with all that movement. Off on that one. Maybe this one can go in the gray one with the leaves as they are, the little intricate leaves that are kind of light when they start, dark when they get more mature. Yeah, I don't think the variegated is going to look too good in there. The brush cherry has really dark leaves. That might look pretty cool in there. Maybe I put it in this oval one. I wonder if that's too small. So many pots to choose from. This is a really big pot, but again, I could put a rock in here, and this tree will grow into this pot very nicely. I like the really cream color. There's little tiny specks in this melon seed ficus. These little tiny specks on the trunk. It almost picks those up a little bit. If you watered the trunk and got it wet, they would be highlighted more. I kind of like that. The pot's too big wide left and right, but the way these roots have been growing, it'll fill the pot, and I'll just keep, repotting and making it smaller. But that is an awfully cool look in that pot right there. The really small leaves on this melon seed ficus with the really small pot will give it the better scale. We're going to go with that one. We're gonna put it in this cute little square one right here. All right, we got some holes in there, so we will maybe need a drainage screen in there. And I have a square one that just kind of fits at the bottom. We'll put just a little bit of soil in there. Because this pot is not deep enough for soil to hold it in like I had with the fish tank forest, I'm actually gonna have to get a little wire in here and just give this a little twist down. So let me go grab my wire and we'll continue. So I got some small wire in here. I got the mesh down there. We'll put some soil back in there. We'll get our tree where we think it's gonna be. Got the dropsies today. So most of the time when I do my ficus, they're going to be inside most of the year and I'm not going to get gale force winds, and so I very rarely tine mine down. But this one will definitely be outside for some summer growth. Now I got this big root down here that I'm going to save for right now. So I just have to make sure that that's going to stay in place. It's a little wobbly. So we'll put some more soil in there. Now we'll give it a dunk in the pond. So there we have tree number one. Got a little slant over to the left. My right, your left. We're gonna do just a little bit of trimming up here. And we'll let this thing take off in the summer. I will put a little bit of sifted sphagnum moss on top of here to help hold in the moisture. One of the biggest tricks with this itty bitty pot, if it's in the sunlight for sure in these hot summer days, this could be dead within a day if it's not watered. So we're gonna have to make sure we hold a little bit of that moisture, so we'll get some sphagnum moss in there. So we'll cut that branch off. It's growing inside. I'm just gonna shorten for right now until I can pull back and get another look. Really thick up here, so I'll be able to cut off some growth and thin it out. A couple of dead little pieces in here, cutting those out. just going in here and thinning this guy out a little bit. I've got 2 possible fronts here. Almost 3. Almost every side of this could be a front. So we're just going to take a couple more branches off from the inside. Get those out of there. Get down some of the height. Got several pairs of leaves going down really far. Right. So we just cut off. Mainly for some height. A little bit of directional pruning that's hard to show with such a small tree. And there we have our first tree. A little brush cherry ficus, or excuse me, this is the melon seed ficus. All ready to get some real good sunshine. But now I can't keep it in the sun yet because it was in my plant room. So we're gonna put this outside in the indirect sun for about a week to 2 weeks. And then we'll get this thing into some sunshine to enjoy most of July, August, and some of September. So we'll get some good push of growth on this one. And here is plant number 1, the melon seed ficus. Next up, we're going to work on the variegated, which is, I believe, a Benjamina, version of a Benjamina, Ficus Benjamina. We'll go ahead and pull this out of the soil real quick. We have this one big root that I just scarred up there, going through the pot. But we'll cut that off. We'll trim these just so slightly. A lot of growth with that one main root. Okay, so this one I want to put, where do I want to put this one? I don't know if the kind of white, lime green, light green, white variegation will be too matchy with this thin pot. I think the tree is a little too small for this one, and I don't like that green with those color leaves. It kind of pops nice with that one. Yeah, let's put it in that one. Oh, I didn't check the Sarah Rayner. That's pretty cool too. And the reason why is the Sarah Rayner pot has all the texture and bumps and light marks and dark marks. It's kind of fun with the variegation of the tree. I think I'm going to go with the rectangle. go, and we'll do a little bit of trimming here. We'll get rid of some inside branches. Get the height of it in check. This one will have some growing to do for sure. We cut off a lot of its foliage, but we don't have a ton of the roots left. Got in its nice new little pot here. We'll put a little sphagnum moss on that one, and that is tree number 2. And this is what I was hoping to see on more of the plants. I've got some wraparound, almost as if it's pot bound. Look at that, taking the shape of that pot. Got a root growing up. Take that off. We'll shorten this guy up. We got a big one wrapping around. We're gonna cut shorter. And we got these long ones down here that are just wrapping around each other, almost like a taproot there. So there we have what's left. Some fine feeder roots on there, a couple of roots that go in a decent direction. See if I can be able to reposition this root a little bit in the pot, I hope. There we go, yeah. So we have a little bit more of a 360 root flare. All right. So I got the root movement, but what's going to be the front of the tree? And what's going to be the back of the tree with all this amazing, again, albeit semi-flat growth? You know, there's not like a round ball by any stretch, but a lot of roots, a lot of foliage on here. I'm kind of thinking this flat white pot would be really nice for this one. I also could do this real thin pot. So this will be kind of a windswept tree. It's going off to the one side, and I really want to do that. So I think we're going to do this long oval pot, and we're going to make it windswept. So let's go ahead and get a couple more pieces of mesh on here, and we'll get the next one done. Branch that droops down splits back here and it goes more up, so we'll hope that grows up now that it's in the new pot. Cut off some of these massive leaves. We'll cut this back one to an upward facing leaf as well and hope that it grows up. I'm going to cut this one off completely because it's just going down. This one's now going down because of the way we potted it. And I've got a whole bunch of really big leaves that we're just going to cut off. There's some new growth forming back here. Right here, there's some new growth. Here's the new growth back here, new growth back here. And right here by where my scissors is, there's growth right here. So we'll get this brush cherry with some fresh growth here after the repot. Now that's the back of the tree. This one's got so much growth. So we have kind of windswept going that way. So I'm going to cut everything that's on this side off. So everything grows to the right side. Oh, I don't know. Going between the rocks there. Nah, it takes away from the tree too much. Just got that rock in the back for stability until the roots take hold. And then this branch will hopefully keep going over that way. So we cut a lot off. So all the branches are low and going that way. And there we go. Tree number 3. So this one has, tree number 4 has some really fun movement on this branch. It's really tall, it really reached up. I think this one is best suited for this deeper pot. The Sarah Rayner pot here. You know, be able to support all that movement and how thick and big it is. So I'm gonna do that. It's already got some mesh in there. I don't know that I'll need some wire in here, but I think I will anyway. I'll put a little bit of wire in here to hold this down. The rock is going to provide a nice bit of weight, hold it in place. I'm going to cut it off a little bit here, of course, and trim it, but it'll hold it in place till the roots get more established. Now we can go ahead and give this guy a little bit of prune. It's moving a little bit left to right. Got this nice big tall tree. I'm going to cut that right there. Cut that right there. I don't know if this is going to do anything. We'll leave it right to there. This is kind of long and leggy. Don't know what that's gonna do. We're gonna cut this even more. We'll cut this back here. We got more of these big leaves that are growing below the main new branch. So just a lot shorter. And we'll see what how that subdivides. We got these 2 main branches right here, here and here. So that's kind of an even split of the tree. Let's cut that one lower so this becomes the dominant one. We're going to cut it way back to here, because we'll get a lot of growth on this guy this summer, and we'll see where all the new branches grow. We'll see where it back buds. And there is tree number 4. Now the rock's in the way. All the new pots are done. We're going to get some sphagnum moss moistened up here, and then we'll put some on. I went ahead and sifted some, so we'll get it wet, because it's easier to put this on when it's slightly damp on these really tiny pots. If I can just grab some and just kind of plop it into place. So, some success taking the fish tank forest and getting some new pots going. Using some pots that I've never used yet before. Kind of fun to get some new pots going. The question, of course, is where am I going to put all these? Because I really don't have a ton of space anymore. I'm running out. But the nice thing about the workbench back here is this shelf up here is where I'm going to put them for the next 2 weeks. At least 1 week to 2 weeks, because it gets morning sun for a little bit, and then this is afternoon, and it's all shaded from the bench here. The sun's right there at my hand, but back here it stays nice and shaded. So we're in pretty good shape there. So I'm going to go ahead and spread out some sphagnum moss on each of the little trees. So with these itty bitty pots, remember, the soil is going to dry out super fast. So with the soil drying out super fast, you run the risk, of course, of your tree not surviving very long during the summertime. And with the heat we've had, the heat that's on the way, these will dry out super fast. My biggest fear is when I go away on a little cabin trip, you know, what's going to happen with the trees, with my family and friends watering. They do a fantastic job. I couldn't do it without them. So make sure you have some good family and friends that can help you water your trees while you're gone. So I'll have to give them some special instructions with these guys, make sure they don't miss them, because with the heat these things could dry out pretty fast. Now this is a pretty deep pot here, that Sarah Rayner pot. That one won't dry out quite as fast, but these little ones for certain are going to dry out fast. So let me get some sphagnum moss on here, and then we'll have some parting thoughts. Another thing to keep in mind when you're watering the trees now with the sphagnum moss, remember, these are small pots. They were loose in here. I got some rocks holding them in place for some of them. Some of them don't have rocks. But I have a mound of sphagnum moss under a little bit of a mound of dirt, and we don't want the water to just fall right off. So with such small pots, you're gonna have to really make sure that you're really watering that good. So once it's wet, if it's really dry, it's gonna run off. Once it's wet, you're gonna go ahead and give it some more. That way, you know water is getting through and through to those root systems. So we have 8 more trees here in bonsai pots. We got this fun, funky, windswept one that doesn't know exactly what it's going to do here. Can't wait to see what happens with it. Got the gray pot finally in use. The really itty bitty tiny, here it's in the sunshine. I don't know if that helps or hurts with the view. It's probably too bright. And then the triangle pot, which has a lot of sphagnum moss on here. We can take some of that out later on. We got the white pot used here with a couple of rocks. This tree's growing between the rocks. A couple rocks holding these two in place. A couple rocks over here. We're all set up here on the back shelf. Trees are gonna love life over the next couple of days. It's 85 or so right now. We're gonna have 90s, we're gonna have dew points in the 60s. The roots of these new repots are gonna be in heaven. So make sure that my family and friends water them real well this weekend when I'm gone for the holiday weekend. But we're loving life. I love the little tiny triangle. We got the long oval. We've got this blue pot I've never used before, the Sarah Rayner pot, the white one with the glaze that looks kind of nice, and I got that rectangle, and then these two fun ones here. I've never used the gray pot before, and this little itty bitty square one with the really cute feet. I'll do a pan of the trees in just a moment, but fantastic, super excited how they turned out. We took a fish tank forest and turned it into 8 Shohin sized bonsai, that 8 inches or less. What a great time. I gotta go turn on the filter for the fish so they can start getting some fresh oxygen, because it's hot and it's probably hot for them as well. Click like, subscribe if you haven't done so already, tell all your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and keep the comments coming in. I do appreciate those questions, comments, concerns. I'm always learning and growing with the bonsai. This has been great. All right, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you on the next episode.